Alright, so eyelids. There's two ways I do it. This we're gonna do, instead of using the topological brush, we're gonna use it this way. It's a little easier to guarantee anatomical accuracy, or makes it a little easier to. It's kind of like foundational. It allows you to build, see the anatomy without needing to be too knowledgeable of it, because you just use the mechanics of how the eye works to foundationally build the eyelid. So what we're going to do is we will make a pretty high-res sphere, probably about yay big, and we'll center this, drop those back in the head there, probably pretty close. Okay. Then I'm going to split the unmasked parts. It means we have a split the eyes off here, and then I'm going to duplicate these eyes. All right. So now what I'm going to do, we've got local symmetry on, we've got our gizmo open, and we're going to scale these up as long as it allows me to do so. There we go. So let's see. Notice I'm making them larger, probably right about there. All right, so this is going to be our what our eyelid bases itself off of. So in this case, I'm going to hold Control Shift, and I'm going to end up taking up here. We'll do the slice curve. It's a little easier than selecting things. We're going to separate these polygroups like this. There we go. And we're going to delete this center one, delete hidden, close holes, and then we'll do auto groups. There we go. So now those are groups. I'm going to group in both of the bottom and the top into the same group so they mirror. Cool. They're actually two groups. They're just the same color for some reason. There we go. So now we kind of have some eyelids here. So this is a good baseline to do some of this, and if you need to change how they sit and how they rotate, what you can do, oops, let's go like this, we'll isolate this, we'll mask that off, and then you can actually rotate from the side here, yoink. Those can go up a little bit or down depending on what you need. Sorry, you want to have them in the center of everything, so like that, and then like that probably. There we go. We'll isolate this, and we'll rotate those up. That's a little better. Invert that mask, rotate that down. Now that can give you a baseline, but you're still going to make sure the eyelid's the right shape. So what I'll end up doing is I'll come in here, and we'll start, let's make sure this is, do the preview there, and we'll start bringing these down like this. Use the move brush. Because the eyelids are, your eyes kind of work up at an angle. And the key here is we're trying to be able to see the width of the eyelid from the front, which you really can't see here. So what you'll end up doing is you'll be upturning parts of this lid here, smoothing out or creating the ability to see that. And in this case, with the lid and its width, we actually want to bring these eyes out just a little bit more. And then if we have to sink the rest of them in, we will. But yeah, so this is probably the quickest way to build eyelids, and then it just comes down to shaping them properly and making them, and look up any like how to draw eyes. That'll give you a lot of anatomical reference. We'll do this. This is going to come up like this, and this is always going to be back behind the upper eyelid generally. And then in this case, let's subdivide this. Yoink. 3 times. There we go. That'll give us a little thing, a little bit to smooth out here. Give us a little, show that lift up a little bit. Bring this up like this. Now, if you have issues with moving stuff around, you can press B for brush, M for move, and then V is going to give you move topological. Okay, it's going to ignore the other eyelid because it's just moving the first set of geo that it touches. So it shouldn't interfere with anything other than the first unit you work with, so, or the first piece of geometry. Makes it a little easier to move stuff around. So if we go something like that, that's getting there pretty good. The next thing you got to make sure you build up is, let's turn Zbrush back on, is the lip, the muscle that goes over the top of the eyelid. It's actually pretty substantial. It's almost its own piece that comes up around over here, and you got to layer that up properly to start seeing some of those the proper anatomy behind it. It's kind of built in here, but you got to move stuff around. So in this case, what I'm going to do, it's a little far out. We're going to move these back some. We'll do this with this brush as well, or with the eyes themselves, and move them back just a hair. And then we're starting to get the idea of what you want. And when you're ready, so I end up leaving these eyelids here for a pretty large duration of the sculpt itself. Like I'll layer all this stuff up and I'll start building the cheekbones in and cutting into the shape of the rest of the face, and I'll clean this stuff up. And until I'm ready and I like the position of all of this and the anatomy behind the face itself, I will leave those as separate subtools for the duration of the build. Those help me when it comes to being able to make adjustments or dynamic size changes to the head, or if I need to do certain blend shapes or the eyes aren't closed eyelids. There's a variety of things, but I tend to leave those for a large period of time. So yeah, that's probably the quickest way to make eyelids.